How's it going? It's Tommy Gentleman here from Ty55 Digital Marketing. In this video, we take a look at 5 things we learned when Facebook fainted. Last night, Facebook and its partner apps, WhatsApp and Instagram predominantly, went down for a period of about 6 hours. And it was a mild catastrophe. People were losing their minds. But there are 5 things that we've learned about it, which are very important and interesting for you if you are in the world of marketing or you're just interested in human behavior with this thing we call social media. Okay, number 1, the first thing that we learned from Facebook fainting was that Twitter absolutely got used. Quite literally, people were turning to Twitter as the saving grace for their idle thumbs, their lost thumbs, for somewhere where they knew human interaction was taking place, where they could figure out what the hell was going on and start to engage with people and pass the time while they waited, sounds crazy, but it's true, for their Instagram, Facebook and WhatsApp to come back to life and be revived. And so on Twitter, it was interesting because there was a huge surge and volume of tweets and people actually taking to the platform to interact with others. But what was interesting is that as soon as Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram seemingly came back to life, people went back to those apps, didn't think anything of it, and completely abandoned Twitter, leaving only those that were there in the first place and would have been doing that anyway on a normal Monday night / Tuesday morning. So that was fascinating and just goes to show that as a business, you do need a presence on lots of different social media platforms. But I would definitely recommend having a presence on Twitter and or Facebook and Instagram, simply because they are owned by completely different people, completely different entities. And if one crashes, it's unlikely, unless the whole internet dies, that the other one will crash as well. Very important not to put all your eggs in one basket when it comes to social media, and Twitter is evidence of that over the last 24 hours. Point number 2, in these scenarios, very often humor wins. Loads of businesses were using Twitter to communicate and kind of make the most of the opportunity, I suppose, of having all that attention there. Now, granted, there were some people that would be doing that anyway, that's part of their strategy, but a lot of companies went all in on Twitter while they could. Evidence of that would be Twitter themselves recognizing the situation, tweeting hello, literally everyone, and then McDonald's jumping on the back of that and then having a conversation. I'll put that conversation right there, which was very funny. A lot of people found value in that. Another great example would be Innocent Smoothies, who did this awesome tweet. And as you can see, brought a lot of smiles to a lot of people. You might not think that's very important, but it is, because if someone has a humorous connection to a brand, they're going to build an affiliation, a warmth, a lovingness towards that company and that brand, more so than the competitors, because humor is a great way to build relationships on social media as well. We've seen that happen many, many times. And it has been the case through media. When you look back at newspapers, magazines, TV commercials, the funniest ones are the ones we tend to remember. Point number 3, opportunity. I don't know about you, but a lot of different apps, LinkedIn being one of them, and a few other of the apps that I have that I don't use very often, sending me push notifications during the window of time when Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp were down. Now, this is smart. They were definitely on purpose. It was definitely above the normal volume of push notifications that I receive through these particular apps. And the reason is because they noticed an opportunity where people's lonely thumbs were trying to find somewhere to go. And so by putting out push notifications, it allowed the attention, which is normally soaked up by Facebook, WhatsApp and Instagram, because they are predominantly what people use the most, those 3, one of, if not all of them. But they were able to take some of that attention and push it their way by bringing the notification to the forefront of the individual's attention. And before you know it, people are rekindling their love for LinkedIn. They're connecting, they're checking their messages they haven't checked for 5 months, and they're starting to engage with people. Now, how that looks today could be different to how it would have looked had this not have happened for that particular app and the usage that that individual has with that app. Let's say they engaged in 3 conversations, they replied to some messages that they hadn't seen. Today, those replies would have had replies come back. And so now we're looking back inside of that ecosystem again. And who knows, they could build enough of an affiliation, enough of a reason, enough motivation to go and check it more regularly that they may have just won a tiny percentage of user attention by taking that opportunity where there was a void in the time-space continuum, because Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp were down. Point 4, you've got to be fully committed. It's sad that some people, some individuals, some professionals, some teams would have looked at last night as something that they didn't want to engage in because they were busy or they weren't working. You know, it was out of hours, a lot of it. It kind of happened in the evening here in the UK. And as a digital marketing agency, we were very much on it with the companies and the brands that we manage that were important to be present. There were only a handful of them, but it would have been very easy for us not to bother. The business owners themselves didn't come to us to ask us. We proactively went forwards and we did what we knew we were able to do within our sort of freedom of license to act on behalf of that brand, that company. But we also sent messages to the business owner to say, look, this is happening. Not sure if you've seen it or not, but we really think we should do this. You're cool, let us know. And in all cases, they gave us the green light. So we were able to send things like email campaigns. We were able to be a little bit more quirky and have a bit more fun with the tweets that we put out. And this bode really well in terms of the attention. Particular email campaign that we sent out for a client with the subject line, this will help, ... And the preview, Facebook, Instagram and WhatsApp are down, but good news, this will give you something to do while you wait for them to come back. And you know, there's no way we could have pre-planned that. However, we did have the foresight to put it together, to make sure that the email made sense and that the links worked in the relevant way that we would need them to work to send people to the right products on the right pages. And then we just waited for the green light from the business owner. Once we had that, we sent that email out. And straight away, I think last time we checked, it had about a 14% open rate, which is pretty good. We usually get about 7 or 8% open rate with that particular client. So it's almost double for 2 reasons. One, the attention migration, the lonely thumbs looking for things to do, checking their emails. And then 2, and this is more important, being momentarily relevant. I'll say that again, being momentarily relevant. You could not write that as a pre-planned email. You could not send out tweets last night as scheduled tweets and be relevant because everything shifted. There was something happening in the world that shifted everything to become a different narrative. The normal cadence of data and the normal rhythm of content had been disrupted. And so it would stick out like a sore thumb if someone emailed or tweeted about what would seem like a normal, regular heartbeat, because it wasn't the same. The pulse was higher, the heart rate was higher, things were different. And so those that came out that were seemingly custom from big brands pierced through, and a lot of people took note of that, and it got their attention because they're momentarily relevant. And this is something to bear in mind, not just when things like this happen, when Facebook faints, but every day, like a pre-planned event, or something that happens in the news, or a sporting event, something that gets announced. Being able to get on the narrative and be momentarily relevant is really smart. It's really important. And it's also head and shoulders above in terms of service quality and commitment to the social media and digital marketing game. It's something that we are unable realistically to do for all of our clients, but not all of our clients need it. But the ones that are there, that are quick response, that have a big platform and have hungry competitors chomping away at them, those are the ones where we commit to put our energy when things like this happen to be momentarily relevant. If we don't, their competitors could be doing that and we could lose attention, traction, and ultimately revenue in the long run. So very important to be fully committed. At the end of the day, business is H to H. It doesn't matter if it's B2C or B2B or whatever. It is always human to human. And so being able to relate to somebody, to bring words and images to them that pass through their filter, make sense, and they invite in and pass you that attention is everything. These are human beings, right? Automation's great, but we've got to go above and beyond. When we want that, we've got to be able to put in the work, full commitment. And lastly, number 5, the 5th thing we learned when Facebook fainted, try saying that 5 times, was that everything changes. Ladies and gents, if you don't take what happened last night as a shot across the bow and think, you know what, we should probably not put all our eggs in one basket as a business, then you need to wake up. We need to be thinking about other ways that we can build attention assets, email lists, text data lists, physical addresses, phone numbers, different social media platforms. There are so many different ways that we can build these little attention bubbles of information and then nurture them so that we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. Now, there was a couple of moments, I'll be honest with you, last night as a digital marketing agency owner where I thought, hang on, this is all well and good and pretty funny, but what if this doesn't come back? This is a big part of what we do. This is a big part of our business. We're on Facebook and Instagram ads and we drive attention through social media, but at no point was I worried, because I know that we've got the foresight and the ability and the flexibility to see that there are bigger opportunities coming on the horizon, that there are things that are happening all of the time in the corners of the internet that others might not be noticing, that we're ready to move into as and when that happens. So at no point was I worried about it, because I know that our clients will trust where we place their resources and where we place our energy in order for them to rise in any kind of drastic change. It's actually a massive, exciting opportunity, and I was a little bit sad that it came back on, to be honest, because I quite like the disruption of being able to say to our clients, look, here's what we're going to do for you. Here's what we're going to do for you, and having a strategy there. So we like to work like that. We like to rest on our laurels, and it's very important that you watching this, if you are a business, that you know you can't get comfortable. As a business owner, you've got to be working with like employees or agencies like us that you know you can trust to think like that. Otherwise, that's got to be on you. That's got to be rested on your shoulders. What are you going to do if Facebook does die and never comes back? If a part of your strategy is running Facebook ads and looking at ROI and it just disappears into thin air? What are you going to do if your website completely crashes and never comes back? What are you going to do in these situations? And you just got to know what your options are, I think, or who you can trust to help you. And that's, you know, something that our clients have as a promise by proxy of working with us. So everything does change. There will be a day, whichever comes first, where Facebook dies or you do. That's just the way it is, right? Everything changes, and so we need to be thinking about what other options there are just in case, and having our eyes on what's happening over in the corners so that we are able to get there quickly when we need to. So thanks for watching this video, 5 things we learned when Facebook fainted. It was a momentous occasion that we will all remember for the rest of our lives. We all used Twitter, we had a good giggle at McDonald's, and we wondered, will Facebook ever come back? Well, it did, and I don't think anybody even really thought twice about going back. Thanks for watching. Share your views, your opinions, and your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you again soon.